Ashley and I'm about to do a pointless craft. Just kidding. I don't think it's pointless because we're redoing our main bedroom and the closet, and I just want this moment where you open the door and you can have a big mirror and a light like above it, and it's like a really beautiful mirror. So I went on Pinterest looking for mirrors that I liked, and I kept seeing this one over and over again that's like white with clamshells on it, and it's like $800. That's without shipping. I think it's about $800. Too expensive for my blood. So I'm like, I'm gonna make my own. And honestly, I don't know if I can make my own, but I'm gonna try it. And I bought a perfectly good mirror, and now I'm like, this does seem like a pointless craft because I have the mirror. That's all I really need. But what's gonna make it special is to have it look like this mirror, but much cheaper and much more work. So I figure we could get started. Whenever I do a DIY like this, which is like a look for less, there's a lot of research that goes into it. So the first thing I did was I looked for the mirror, and I was so tempted to use one of those like $7 super cheap, you know, mirrors you buy in college, but the proportions weren't right. It's way too skinny, and I don't want this to look cheap if I'm gonna put all this work into it. So I ended up buying a $60 mirror from Walmart, and I think that price is like fine. And the proportions are much better. It's actually a little bit taller than the one I'm doing, but that's okay because that just means more work. And I love work. But really, I'm excited to try this out. I couldn't find anybody else who had done a DIY on this, so I looked for similar DIYs so I could kind of like figure it out. And what I did see was lots of people had made clamshells. So I'm gonna use some of the methods I saw there and figure it out, hopefully, or else I'll just ruin a $60 mirror. Let's see together. Okay, so I've been over here trying to figure out a template, which, spoiler alert, I think I have it, for the scallop clam look along the edges. It was very tricky to get to it, and hopefully it's right, or else I can change it, it's fine. Okay, so the thing is on this mirror, it's like a very scalloped look, and so you need to have the same amount of scallops on the top, on the bottom, and they should all be about the same width to get the look I want. So I had to do the math of figuring out, okay, the mirror is 27 inches wide. If I make each one, like, what measurement do I need to make each one that it can be the same amount over and over again? So that came to 5.5 inches for me, and that's on the side and on the top, like on the sides and the top and the bottom. And then the edges will be, I don't know. There's a lot to explain. It was a lot of math, and I'm not great at math. But the corner pieces, I'll have 4 corner pieces and 28 scallops. And on the corners, they're going to be 5 inches on one side and 4.75 on the other. And that's how I got my perfect math. So the corners won't be like the perfect same amount on each side, but I think it's like good enough. So I have that. And the plan is to take these templates I'm making and put them on cardboard. And then I'll attach the cardboard to the frame. And then we will continue on making this look 3D instead of just a paper. So that's gonna be magical. All right, I'm gonna show you how we paper mache on one of these scallops. So the first thing we do is I have a sheet of newspaper, and I'm ripping it in half. And then I have this whole section, and I'm ripping that in half again. And then I'm just gonna crumple up the ball. So the scallop on the bottom, I'm making it out of 3 pieces, 1 big ball and 2 small balls. So I'm gonna pre-cut some tape. I'm just using normal masking tape. And kind of the fun thing about this project is a lot of it you can make from recycled materials. The boxes are all ones that were in my recycle bin. And then I had to buy some newspaper for this, but sometimes they send me like the grocery store ads on newspaper. So I've used that. So the stuff that you would be putting in your trash can, and you can use it to make something. Okay, I pre-cut some tape and it's stuck together, so don't do that. But I'm gonna just wrap the newspaper in 1 roll of tape. And it kind of looks like a mess, but that's okay, because once we put it on, it won't be that big of a deal. So then we have this 4th the sheet of newspaper, and we're gonna rip it in half. And we're gonna make 2 balls out of it. And these balls are for the side of the scallop clamshell thing. And again, wrap it in a bit of masking tape so that it just stays closed and keeps it warm. Let's make the second one. And then cover this in tape. Okay. And I mean, if you're thinking this is a slow project, you're right. It's so slow. Each of these takes me about 5-6 minutes to make. But it's art, so who cares? Okay, so now I'm going to put a piece of tape on the back of this, and I'm going to kind of go the opposite way of how we were going before, and I'm going to tape it on. And I kind of want to attach the tape to the front, and then the other bit of tape will go on the back side and connect to the actual mirror. And then we have these two little baby pieces we had, and those will go on the other side, and we'll just attach them the exact same way. And I've been sharing this over on Instagram as I go, and I get tons of recommendations of how to do things. But with paper mache, which is the technique we're going to use to make this look how we want it to look, what you do is you start with cardboard. That's kind of like the bones of this project. And then that's the form. So then you use newspaper and masking tape to really create like the muscles of the project. And then on top of that, you add paper mache. And so it's not quite the skin, maybe like the blood. And then on top of that, I'm going to do joint compound, or like you could do a paint on top of that, and that's your skin. So it's lots of layers to create this look. Because people are like, why are you doing cardboard? But you need it to make this. Like, you need the shape. And then the newspaper really forms it out. So you can kind of see we're starting to get a clamshell shape. And if your newspaper is like weirdly shaped, you just kind of push it in, and then you can use tape to tape it into place. And then for the top, the inspiration picture I have, it ridges up quite a bit. And so we're gonna cut some more newspaper. And so I like to use, that was like half a sheet, and then I use a third of one of these pieces. So I cut these into threes. And this one kind of takes the longest to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of roll it up. Whoop, I ripped it, but that's okay because you're going to cover this in tape. Just be more gentle than me. And this one, like I said, it takes a while, and I get impatient, and I shouldn't. So now I'm going to take the masking tape and just kind of like roll this into a skinnier piece as I go and kind of fix my stupid rip. And like the beauty of this project is it's made from garbage almost. So if you mess up, it's okay. And you can just layer stuff on, and it's very forgiving because you're doing so many layers. You don't have to get it right, the first time around. So let's layer this on. I'm going to use paper mache for this, which I'm going to make with like flour and water. But there is a product you can buy. It's like a plaster roll. You can get it on Amazon or at most craft stores. And you just dip the pieces in water and then layer it on. Or you could maybe use Mod Podge. So there's like 100 ways to get this look. And this is just what's working for me. But the fun thing is you can be an artist and customize this project with what you know how to do. Okay. So that looks terrible. But it's okay, like I said. We're going to use it on the edges, and we'll just tape it on to accentuate the shape of the scallop. And you can kind of see we'll need more than one piece to make this work. But you just start with one, and that's good. So I'm just going to tape it on and go around this curve. In the inspiration picture, you'll kind of see like the curve is very important, that you get like kind of 3 prongs to the scallop. So when I'm done, I'll kind of sculpt it to get that look. And I like to do one piece of tape on the outside And then I like to do a piece of tape on the inside to really get it where I want it, to secure it. And so I'm just gonna layer it on and go around. And then the last thing I really like to do is to add more tape on the outside to kind of smooth this out. And I don't know if this is necessary, but I do like to do it because then it looks pretty. Because right now it kind of looks like kind of bulgy. But I do think the paper mache will smooth this out nicely as well. So I don't know, you can do it however you want. Okay, so what I'm kind of seeing here is this ridge is good, but it's not high enough. So what I'm gonna do is rip one more piece, and I'm gonna cover that in masking tape, and we'll make the ridge higher, mostly in the middle. And again, this is my least favorite part, but that's okay. One thing I figured out is that now that I know how I do 2 balls, I know what size those are. I do 2 of these like ridge things. These are like a third of I don't know. I know the sizes. I can sit down in front of the TV and make a bunch of these and just bulk them out, and then I'll come up here later, and then I can tape them onto the form. So it's a long project, so at night when I like to watch TV, hang out with my family, I could make some of this, but then it wasn't the hard concentrating part. So yeah. Okay, this one's almost done. Then we're gonna add it on to kind of the top, and you can see how that builds up the layers. And I'll just tape it on. And I think it's important to try to make this look nice from the side and from the front. The front's gonna be the most important because that's how you're gonna look at it most of the time. But it's good to pay attention to both sides because you don't want it to look like crap when you spend all this time on it. Okay, I think the last thing to make this is gonna be a bit of tape on the front. And then we have our shape, and then you just have to repeat that 36 times. That's how much the full length mirror is. And again, you could make this on like a normal size mirror and it'd be much easier than the 70-inch size. So yeah, there's the piece. And now that one is ready for, I'm gonna like kind of work on the ridge a bit, but we're pretty much ready for the paper mache. I also wanted to show you a sped up version of me putting on the paper mache because that last video was so zoomed in. I'm so sorry. Anyway, this is the same method and I just did it over and over again for each one. 1 ball in the middle, 2 on the sides, and a ridge on the top. Pretty simple. To make the paper mache, just mix 1 part flour to 2 parts water. I did 2 cups of flour and 4 cups of water and a dash of salt. That keeps the mold away, and then mix it really well. And you want it to be the consistency of runny pancake batter. I am in my room working on the mirror and I am paper macheing. So I cut a bunch of strips. I did some longer ones. They're all stuck together. But these shorter ones, I prefer the size. So all I'm doing is dipping it in the paste and trying to get some of the paste off of it before I put it on. And then I'm just laying it on. And I'm trying to cover any of the tape or the cardboard with the paper mache. So it has kind of, this is, you know, like the skin going on to the body. This is going to smooth everything out. And it's so easy. It's actually kind of fun. It's very messy though. The newspaper rips really easily. I've seen some people use paper towels instead of newspaper. But I bought a bunch of newspaper for this project, so I'm going to use it. And I don't think it's rocket science. You literally just put the pieces in the paste, put it on top, smooth it out, and keep going. Once I've covered the whole mirror, I'm gonna let it dry overnight. And then I'll be able to move to the next step. You can kind of see how I'm putting it on. And since I'm working in a room without running water, I brought myself a rag, which is nice. So when I like drip on the floor like I just did, I can easily clean up because it's so messy. But yeah, I'm trying not to use too much paste when I put stuff on, but enough that it'll stick and kind of lay flat. And yeah, that's how it's going. Yesterday I completed the paper mache and it dried overnight, and it's dried nice and hard, kind of like a cast when you put it on like a broken arm. And so now it's a nice strong base, so I can do the joint compound, which I have a big bucket of. We had it at home. It's giant, it's so heavy. So yeah, now we gotta put that on. I have been trying to figure out the right texture for the scallops on this, and this is what a small comb looks like. This one is like a big dinner fork. At first I was liking that one, but then I used this one and I think it's my favorite. This is just a silicone brush and it's very subtle, like what you use to put olive oil in like cooking stuff. And then this one is a bigger tooth comb. So now I just got to figure out my favorite and move on. On the outside of the scallops, I used the small comb and I like it. I just am brushing it on like this. And you're going to see these the least, so I think this is fine. But that's where I'm at. To put the joint compound on top of the paper mache, I just used a cake spatula. This is what's used for icing cakes. You could use any spatula you have in your kitchen. I just liked this one. It kind of went on nice and quickly for me. I ended up liking the silicone brush best for getting the texture, and it's really easy to do, and I think anybody could do it. You just lightly brush on lines, and like honestly, even if you push harder, it doesn't even make it that much deeper. So I think anybody could do this. Kind of fun, huh? We'll keep going, because the most annoying part of this project is getting the joint compound on, especially the outside. But once it's on, it's like really fun, and it's probably better to like do a continuous line instead of stopping. So I'm just figuring out my method as I go, but I am loving this. Isn't that nice? And then the other good thing is that if your joint compound isn't 100% smooth, this smooths it out as you go. So that is very nice. You can like go over where you've been and make different lines. No lose. When you put on the joint compound, you have to be careful because if you put it on too thick, you can get cracks, but you can also easily touch those up with more joint compound. To do the touch-ups, all I did was put a little joint compound on my finger, and anywhere where there were cracks or I missed some of the newspaper, I just added some more on. And you do want to be a little bit careful because this will fill your textured lines. My plaster has dried. I've done my touch-up, and now I am painting. See, I didn't want to just leave the plaster how it was because I worried if it got dirty, it'd be impossible to clean. And chalk paint is what I'm using. And this is like, it's not super easy to clean, but I can at least touch it up really easily. And it still gives you that like matte finish, which is definitely what I'm going for with this mirror. So I just gotta paint it, then we can take the cover off and I can show you how it looks. So this is the wall where eventually this mirror will go on. It'll be my main closet, and right now we're tearing up the floors. It's kind of scary in here. Here is the moment that I have been waiting for. The paper coming off so I can see the mirror and how it looks with the frame. So satisfying. So I pulled up the paper and it kind of left a bit of a mess because I kind of half plastered on this and half on this, and then it just kind of crumbled. So I'm gonna have to do some painting where the frame like got shown, but then I'm done. When the plaster came up on the edges, it showed some of the frame from the mirror, which I didn't want to see. So I'm just going back and painting that. Once it's dry, I'm just going to use a razor blade to clean it up. And yeah, that's going to be the finishing part of this mirror.